This is Bumper to Bumper, the car show. Drive in anxious and cruise out confident. With the best automotive information for your vehicle. And now your hosts, Matt Allen and Dave Riccio.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to Bumper Radio. I am Dave Riccio, here along with Matt Allen, and together we are your KTAR car guys, heard every Saturday from 11 to noon. At Bumper to Bumper Radio, we're helping you, the motoring public, that includes me too, have a better overall car experience. If you got car questions, we've got car answers, so we encourage you to give us a call at 602-277-5827, 602-277-KTAR. You can also text us as long as you're not driving at 411-923. And today on the roadmap, fact or fiction, we're going to bring that back from the grave. Open phones and text. And when was the last time you had your fuel system serviced? Do you need it serviced? How much is it? I mean, when was the last time you had your fuel system cleaned, Matt?
I don't know,
Never.
Dave. We're coming up on that mark now, actually. We're coming up to it. You know, I drive my truck so damn hard, though. I mean, I romp that thing. There's no carbon building up in my engine. It doesn't have time. I mean, seriously, you hear me sometimes talk to people, they fail emissions or the car's not running right, and they say, just go out and romp on the car. I mean, sometimes there is something to be said about blowing her out.
Run it like a scolded dog.
Right?
Know?
So do you need, of course, at different cars need different types of services. Different model years. You might be driving an 89 or a 99 or 2009. That might be a little different situation than a 2010 car. So at some point in your car's life, you probably need some fuel injector cleaning service as preventative maintenance. Sometimes you need it because there's actually a problem. We fix cars at times, mostly a running problem or failed emissions we fix by cleaning fuel injectors. But we can back up a little bit and say, why do we need to do that, right? And what what can you do every day to prevent some of these issues?
Well, you're always backing up. But my last experience with a fuel injection service, I was get my wife's car washed and get an oil change. I know I'd take my wife's car somewhere to get the oil change.
It won't get done otherwise, right?
Right. So, the last thing I get to do is pull my wife's car in the shop. And so the guy, he calls me on the phone. He says, hey, you need a fuel injection service. I go, okay. Why? Because you do. Why? Because you do. I mean, he said it's dirty. He said your fuel system's dirty. I don't know how that guy got inside my fuel system, but he was pretty sure it was dirty. And then after that, we got into, it needs it every 15,000 miles. And I'm like, where does it say that? Well, it says it in our car wash manual.
They just got this new setup, and so they say you need it. That's what he was just trained on,
right?
The day before. And what's so great about those services that they do at the car wash? They're not very expensive.
Oh, they're cheap. They're palatable. That's why people. I think sometimes people get them done. Maybe it's a little bit of placebo effect for your car. It's palatable, kind of feels good. I feel like I'm doing something for my car, but are they?
I don't think so. I think if you're getting an $89 fuel injection cleaning service at the car wash or the Quickie Lube or the drive-thru, go donate your money. You see people on the side of the road. It's Easter. They want to have a big Easter dinner for some people that are needy out there. You'll get more out of giving $90 to charity than you will out of getting that $90 fuel system cleaning. But we get carbon buildup in the engine. It's a byproduct of combustion. You go burn some wood in the chimney, and you do that long enough, there's going to be soot. You might burn pine, for example, and that's going to burn and leave all kinds of ick, and it's got sap and stuff in it. That's going to clog up the chimney. I don't know what the other kind of wood. Maybe you're going to burn some mesquite. It burns hot. It's a nice hardwood, and it's not going to leave a lot of soot. Same thing with your car, depending on the type of fuel that you use, where you get your fuel from, how often you change your oil. All this matters because the air, the fuel combustion or combination, when that combusts, it's going to leave some stuff behind, a little bit of carbon, and that robs the car of power.
Well, let's talk about the different things there are. So there's fuel tank additives, and you and I went down to the auto parts store one day, and we just took a picture next to the shelf of the fuel tank additives, and there was a ton of them.
No, there's probably 40.
In half of those, you could just literally just scrape off the shelf, and you just drag the 55-gallon trash can, just scrape it. You can picture that.
Yeah, I personally think most of them are garbage. They're off the shelf at your local auto parts store. I believe, and I'll give you 4 names. There's 4 names of product that I like to use, and not each one of these goes on the same car. BG is good everywhere. BG is a professional brand you're only going to find in shops. That's a fuel system cleaner. Seafoam is one that you can go and find on a lot of forums and stuff. I like that more on your older carbureted cars, your 90s era cars. Liquimolly is another cleaner. And then there's your Chevron Techron. It comes in the gasoline. It comes, and speaking of gasoline, you want a top-tier fuel. They've got these basically carbon cleaners already in them. Or you can buy the bottle of Techron at the gas station. Sometimes it's branded as ProGuard, and you can put that in.
Well, some of these newer direct injection cars literally are saying every 7,500 miles you need to add a can of hoo-ha sauce into the fuel tank.
They are, and it's funny because what we do, we use the fuel injectors to deliver the method. You're talking about the adding the can,
right in the fuel tank.
The tank additive. But then there's also 2 other parts of the fuel system that will typically get cleaned. There's the fuel injectors, and I always say we're not necessarily cleaning the injectors, although they will get cleaned by virtue of running the cleaner through them. But we're using those fuel injectors to deliver the cleaner to the infector, to the dirty area where the carbon buildup has come from the prior fuel and combustion. But the funny thing is the direct injection people say put fuel system cleaner in there, but that fuel system cleaner never sees the backside of the intake valve or any of the other areas where it needs to clean. It definitely helps. So that's why at times we need to do what we call a throttle body service or an air intake system service, where we use a very high pressure and a very light mist, and we fog into the car through the throttle body a cleaner, and that's going to clean the throttle body housing. It's going to clean the intake manifold, the backside of the valves, the intake valves, and then it's going to go through and clean the combustion chamber as well. So there's not one size that fits all. And so when your service advisor, someone tells you you need a fuel injection cleaning service, you've got to ask the questions, and we have to tailor that. Your 2010 BMW is going to get a different service than maybe the 2009 Audi or the 2005 Honda, for example. They're all slightly different. In some cars, you put some of these chemicals in them, you'll ruin things.
So we've got the fuel injection cleaning. We've got that. We've got the tank additive. And you're saying that could be a good thing. And in some instances, some cars require that every so often.
Yeah, Hyundai Kia, for example.
Hyundai Kia. So, I'm always afraid of people adding too much. They're like, oh, little's good, more must be better. It's not one of those things, just kind of the prescribed whatever's on the bottle kind of thing.
Well, yeah, and you can go a little heavier. I mean, maybe if you're trying to solve a problem, you could dose it up a little more. I mean, you want to catch a buzz faster, you just drink more whiskey, right? So
where are you? I don't know. I don't know what's going on in your
right?
mind. I think it's like a kaleidoscope if you were in Matt's mind for this one day.
That wiring diagram is all goofy, and it gets shaken up a lot too.
Well, so I mean, in the combustion process, we need 3 things. We need air, which is your throttle body cleaning. We need fuel, which is obviously your fuel system and keeping that clean, and then spark, which is your ignition, which is not what we're talking about today, but
we
it's
need pressure.
And we need pressure. So it is something that you are going to come up on, and it's going to come up maybe in your service writer conversation at some point along the way. But back to my car wash situation. Well, why do I need it? Well, because it's dirty. Well, how do you know it's dirty? Well, it needs to be done every 15,000 miles. How do you know I didn't have it done yesterday? I don't. I'm just selling you something.
That exactly. Well, that's exactly true. And certain cars, you do them at different times. Sometimes you do 30,000. Maybe we might just do the air intake cleaning on some cars, and other cars, we're doing the fuel injection where we're cleaning the injectors or using the delivery method there. They're not all the same though. You get the kid. I'm talking about the kid at the car wash. And when fuel injection cleaning and all this stuff was coming out in the 80s, you buy this little can, and I call it sauce, Cheese Whiz, and you screw it onto this thing, and we learned how to do that, and the car ran off this little pressurized thing, a Cheese Whiz or shaving cream for 15 minutes, and it was done. Heck, half the time it went down the fuel rail the wrong way because we used too much pressure or whatever, and so those are waste. How much does it cost? You're going to spend a couple $100 having the fuel injectors cleaned properly, and that's something that doesn't happen at the Quick Lube. That's what you call a profit center for them. You know, that they bundle these services that they know how to do. They can do 5 things. Right? And change the oil, they can suck out some transmission fluid, maybe change the coolant. And so they're going to focus and sell to you the things that you need. I'm telling you, a fuel injector cleaning service, do it right, hook up the equipment. You need an experienced technician that's going to do it right. And it's going to take an hour to 2 hours to do, and it's going to cost you a couple $100.